doing the Midwest. And anyway, decided to take that first step, which was get a strip film machine. And there's a bunch of them. I'm not saying any one are better than the others, but I did go with the Orkman one tripper just because I had a relationship with them. That door's hard to shut. And what I was thinking, I said, well, the strip till might be the best of both worlds. I was kind of conventional till, some mineral till. I planted some double crop soybeans, no till, but I like the conventional till. So the idea of the strip till, having a conventional seed bed on, in my case, 8 inches, and the rest essentially no till for all the benefits that provides, I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So anyway, that's kind of how I got there. So here's the rig. We were already on pretty much 40. We were 1238, so that's 38 feet. So we went with 1630s to maintain that 40-foot swath. And right off the bat, this became an issue because in some pictures I've got coming up, we're running essentially 16 subsoilers, 12 inches deep, which is a load. And that's 10 tons worth of fertilizer, which is not that much, but I mean, as far as since it's just rolling. But anyway, that's a load. So that tractor, since I went with a 3-point hitch style, I had to get a tractor that had a 3-point hitch, and they're pretty hard to come by. So it was going to be a while before I could get one new. So I found that one out of the Midwest with a few hundred hours on it with a 3-point hitch. Because most of them in the Delta and really around the world, they don't have that hitch on there, but we needed it for this machinery. So I got that, and that's a 9470. Well, it wouldn't pull that thing. So now I've got, I don't know what I had tied up in the tractors, $350,000, $400,000, and $250,000 tied up in the strip till rig, and wouldn't pull it. So I had to get a guy to come out to reprogram the tractor to get another 90 horsepower out of it. So now we're at 560 horsepower. And I will tell you, that's still not enough to pull that thing. When they say it takes 35 horsepower per row, they mean it. And I do a lot of deep tillage, so it's not like my farm had never had any deep tillage done. But that is truly a load. I mean, y'all have any comments on that? Thoughts on the high horsepower stuff?
You're making me have second thoughts.
It's a reality.
So I'm in Missouri. I'm the cotton specialist in Missouri,
yeah.
And I'm doing some strip till stuff next year. But
I'm not saying you have to get a 16-row
rig. It'll only be 4 rows, but it's just the fact that.
And keep in mind, I mean, that's from the factory 470, and we had it turned up to, well, not turned up, whatever they do with the computer, to make it a 560. You got to take, when they say 30, 35 horsepower, that's drawbar. So that's the engine horsepower that they're advertising and selling. So you got to take about 81% of that. I don't know what that is. 81% of 470 is what? Somebody's got a calculator.
320 or so.
Yeah, that's not enough. Plus that thing's heavy, so you need a heavy duty lift. Again, that's for this configuration. You don't have to go that route, but you know there's a.
Well, if you went with a narrower point.
I've got some pictures, but no, it's not much of a point on there. It's only maybe 2 inches.
Yeah, but if you had it 2 inches and went to 1 inch, that could really cut a lot of drag off of it.
Yeah, we ended up, and I'll show you some issues when we get to the issues. So when we had issues, some adjustments we made. So there's the row unit. So of course, culture, and this just kind of peels some of the residue back, and these two blades right here squeezing and lifting. Of course, there's your subsoil shank, and we run it 12 inches. Mike, that's a 2-inch point on it. That whole shank's not but probably 3/4 to an inch wide. I'm not sure. And it's got some wear plates right here that do wear. I mean, there's a lot of drag there. But I don't know if I told you, these blades kind of give you lift and pinch it, and then this little basket fluff it and form a condition for planting. So that's kind of what it looks like from that angle. And here it is from the back. So again, through the shank, this was 12 inches. We were making, using, it's a pretty versatile tool. Not only is it doing 3 or 4 things per pass, which, you know, that was attractive, eliminates some passes. We were putting out dry fertilizer with it out of this tube right here. Comes down, it blows out of that cart into here and then down the shank release right there at about 8 to 10 inches. And then liquid comes out the bottom. We put out Telon for root knot nematode control. You could put out anything. You could put out liquid fertilizer. You could put out any kind of liquid product with it. But that's just the way we had it configured. This little basket's 8 inches, and it does a good job. And I think I've got a slide coming up. Just remember how that basket looks. That just leaves a flat planting surface. Would this kind of versatility be helpful on y'all's farms? Liquid, dry, whatever. I mean, it could be some kind of pesticide or fertilizer resource. Does that interest anyone? I mean, they'll all. The reason I ask, you don't have to run this shank, this subsoil shank. You can put some other little tillage things on there that, quite frankly, wouldn't pull as hard. But I want this configuration. So there's the cart that goes with it. It's a split cart. We just ran one product. And then we put the Telon out for our nematode control, and that bottle, that's just compressed natural gas to actually deliver the Telon, because you're not supposed to use oxygen, and compressed air has too much moisture in it. So that's the way we utilize it. Again, you could set it up whatever. You can run 2 products on a prescription basis, but we just went one product across the board. And one of the advantages is you're dropping that fertilizer right in the root zone, so you can reduce your P and K 50%. Everyone will tell you that. So that's a tremendous cost savings. I've been in place it right in the root zone. So if you're basically subsoiling 12 inches deep and putting fertilizer at 8 to 10, it's right in the spot where the plant will take it up at the proper time. I mean, that part of it definitely works. And the Telon deal, I don't know, we're not here to talk about nematodes, but we have severe problems with them. It's expensive, and we put it on a prescription basis using old yield maps and elevation maps overlaid. Work pretty good.
You putting Agritain on your dry product, or?
No, because we're just putting out a P&K right there.
Okay.
I mean, you could put some sort of
Putting it down below.
Probably wouldn't need it. Would it?
I wouldn't think you need it. What was that? Putting it down below, is that what you were going to say?
And you're not gonna get the.
You shouldn't get it. But I'd be more worried about leaching before the plant got to it. You're going to put out nitrogen with the shank. May not lose all of it.
How high do you go with your potash?
I knew that question would come up. So we were putting we were putting 150 pounds of potash, so that'd be 90 units. So if it's right and I'm cutting at 50%, that'd be equivalent to putting out 180 units of potash, and then we were only putting out 50 pounds of 01846, and I'm sorry, triple superphosphate, so 046O. So it's only getting 23 units, but if you're putting out 50%, so you're still getting up to close to 50 units. And we put a little bit when we plant corn, so we're covering our phosphorus needs.
So about 25 units under the plant with this?
Yeah. Right here. Comes to that tube right there and drops down right there. You can't really see it good, but that's a diffuser box for the fertilizer. Kind of let the air that's pushing it escape, and then gravity takes over and it drops in there. Never had any problem with this. I mean, I was a little bit worried about plugging. Never an issue. The moisture in the cart, we got a little rain one night, that kind of caused a problem. So this is all hydraulic driven. Whichever tank you got on drops down in this chute here, and then the air forces it back to the front. Again, looks like a nightmare to me, but we didn't have any problems. So did I answer your question? Or? And we're putting out 23 units, but if the theory is you can put out it holds true that you can put out 50%.
It's more efficient.
It's more efficient. You're putting it right in the root zone, and I think we put some zinc in there too on corn. So
what do you do about when you sample? What's your approach to sampling the soil on these strip tills?
I guess you're asking, do we soil sample in the strip or away from the strip?
What do you do? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, we're soil sample. I don't do grid sample. We just do random soil samples like we've always done, and then fertilize accordingly. My soils are in pretty good shape to start with. So this, we're basically just supplying fertility needs for that crop. So now that's going to lead me into something else I don't know where I was going to talk about. I can talk about it right here. In preparation for this, my soils are in pretty good shape, but I knew if I stuck with this system, we weren't going to do any more widespread tillage across the whole farm. It was all going to be something similar to this, banded, pretty much broadcast, and working the whole farm was over. So we went out on about 7,000 acres and put out lime and litter, just kind of getting everything set up for a long-term relationship with this. And that was expensive, because we put out 2 tons of litter and 2 tons of lime on a lot of acres. But again, I was thinking, well, we can make this investment now, and it'll stay around for 7 or 8 years, and that gets in a whole nother subject, especially on the pHs and the lime.
So how many acres do you cover with that? You expect?
I don't know how fast you can go. Now we're back to horsepower.
Well, true, but what you had to work with.
Well, we planted 3,000 acres of corn with it, and probably 1,500 acres of soybeans. I planted some soybeans in rows, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because obviously this, under pivot irrigation, I got a lot of pivots, we just plant flat.
Okay, gotcha.
But I do have a fair amount of furrow irrigated, so we try to figure out how to do that. So we run this, and then we just, with RTK and all, we just bed up right back on top. And I'm gonna kind of address that in a minute. So is that all we need on fertilizer? Is it kind of, again, Soil's in pretty good shape to start with. I made that investment to hopefully keep it like that for years to come. So we're just taking care of the plant.
When you did your lime application in preparation for this, how deep did you go with the lime?
Good question. Whatever it took to get it covered. I mean, I like vertical tillage. That's pretty fast. In a few cases, we may have actually done some deep tillage behind some lime. Just whatever it took. And some, I think we just ran this. If there was some decent residue on the ground, especially soybean residue, I think we'd pretty much gotten rid of all our corn residue, but soybean residue, I don't like seeing that lime blow away. Do you mind?
Don't see it blow.
Blowing away? You know those windy, late winter days, spring days, that lime.
Yeah, Buck Skinner never would put it out in the wind, and then when you tell him get it done, get in the truck and leave.
Yeah, I
come back,
mean, you
it
can't,
ain't
see, you can see the dust cloud from miles away. You're like, that's the good stuff too.
Yeah.
So I had so much to do. I didn't spend a lot of time and effort trying to figure out how we're gonna get it covered. I just wanted it covered.
We just threw it out on the ground. We used to do it on no-till for 20-something years.
But you got residue there to hold it in place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It rainy and it's heavy. It ain't, once it sits down, it ain't going nowhere.
One
It's
concern
heavy.
is not it getting away, it's about it working down here where.
We moved some dirt. We had some that we moved, every time I'd level a field, I'd have a grid sample. Because I said, well, I done cut my lime and hauled it down there in the hole. But it would be there. It goes down further than you think on its own. In our soil, which is low CEC.
Okay, there you go.
CEC
Yeah, Mike's like
7.
me. He's probably 7 or less.
Yeah. I'd say average 6 or 7 CEC.
That's pretty sandy, man.
Yeah, it is.
Cotton dirt.
But you know, I know some guys are doing some deep placement on some lime, trying to set a
What
farmer.
are they using
I don't know.
to get it down there?
Some of the similar, it's Randy Dowdy's who does, he's a friend of mine, and he was trying to crank it down there, I don't know, 18 inches or so. He had a little applicator.
I've seen that implement where they put it down about a foot deep underneath the.
And I don't want to steal his thunder, but his thought was, you know, we're only farming the top 6 or 8 inches of ground, and there's all kind of nutrition below that, so he was trying to
Yeah.
get a little more out of it, a little deeper.
Yep.
Not on fertilizer?
I
Well,
might
we
get
talked
one.
about
I
it.
might have another one.
Well, great, ask me, I don't care. All right, here's a slide about the flat planted, burned, or beds. The baskets I had, they leave it flat, just like that. And I planted, you know, if it's pivot irrigated and it would drain, I just planted right into it. They make a basket, which is the blades on it, I guess, are kind of contoured, so they left a little berm, mainly for drainage, I guess. But it wasn't enough for irrigate. So that little 8-inch basket was pretty much a standard. They had a 12-inch, but we thought it might get choked up in some old residue. So the 8-inch is fine as long as you have good guidance. And like I said, where we had to fur irrigate, we just take a better lister and just run right on top of them. So, and I think it's critical in this. You got to have RTK guidance. Does everybody have that now? They may not fool with the old SF1s. And,
We use it.
I mean, I've got a couple of them, but
We got it on, we bed with that SF3 and then
Yeah.
we plant with RTK because it come with our terracotta stuff. And we just
Mhm.
slap it on there and use it.
I mean, you got to have the accuracy if you're going to do this and repeatability.
But I was wondering how you did this while I come in here to see how you was doing that on beds.
Okay. Well, we do this first, then we bed.
It's easy.
Yeah. We
Flat's
do
easy.
this, then we bed it, And I mean, I can either run a Lister better, an Orphan better.
What you gonna do the year after that, though?
I'm getting to that. Hang on, it's just my first year. I'll let you know in a couple of months. So on flat plan stuff, I guess this is a good enough time to talk about it. Do we split the middles, or we go right back on the old strips? I know guys that do both and can argue both ways. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
My only concern would be where your tires go over
Yeah,
every year.
compaction in the tire
Yeah.
tracks. And that's why they shift.
But if you keep one always compacted, then you don't have to go over that. I mean, there's
Kind of like a tram line, I guess.
what?
I got a tram line with a sprayer. You just stay in the same tracks forever.
Yeah.
What Mike's talking about, the beds. I'm assuming we'll try to go right down the old beds. Of course, they've had a winter, a full season on them, so they're going to be a little lower, so we can get down them
Mop them out.
and just go again. The thing will go through some pretty heavy residue, so I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, it will.
Um,
It'll clean that out, and you put a lot of stuff on the back. Like if you had corn stalks out there from last year, and this year you want to plant beans, and you don't want to run your drill, you want to run the row planter, you're sitting right back there on top of those corn stalks.
Which can be hard on everything, and
I've
it's going to be
tried,
more prone
I
to
got away
plug.
with it, but you can't just start on Monday and think you're gonna get to do it for 2 weeks. You gotta catch it right at the sweet time when the moisture.
Because the moisture, the humidity and all of them, it's a big factor in that.
Yeah, I did some and got away with it, but I wasn't comfortable enough to know that I could just do it anytime I got ready.
Those colders, if I don't know what the number would be, but if the humidity and moisture was down low enough, it'd probably sail right through them. But high humidity in front of a storm or something, more moisture, it's not going to want to cut through it, clean it out.
Yeah, them root balls.
It's going to, and instead of cutting it, it's going to start building up, and next thing you know, you got a pile as big as this table,
Yeah.
which is a mess.
I didn't try to push the trash on that away. I just lifted up and went over it and cut it. But I have run a rig like that and then run my chopper better behind it in the fall and threw that dirt up there kind of on that shoulder and chopped that up, and it helped some. And as far as running in 1990 drills, it'll go through any of it.
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
Are you always running in the fall? Or do you spring?
And we just got through cutting soybeans, it's been so wet, but no. Last year, we did run in the fall and some spring. We had a lot of acres to get over. So this year, we had not done anything. It's just now drying out, maybe enough to even think about hooking up some tools. So then I had that picture on the repeatable part of the RTK because you've got to get right back in your strip. And this one looks pretty much perfect. This is can anyone tell? This is the actual row right here, so this one's not exactly right. Looks like it shifts to the left. But if you're going to be on this system, I don't see any way around not having repeatable, most accurate guidance system you can get. Which I think everybody's got that now.
It make it well known. There's some that don't. When I started out before I had it, I just cheated my rows in and made my first and my 12th or 16th row, spread it out where it wouldn't catch it and throw it over there on the other deal. But when I got the RTK, I cleaned all that up.
Yeah. Another thing we hadn't talked about because I hadn't gotten to it, but I've got a 3-point hitch style. I'd say the vast majority of these things are pull type, especially out in the Midwest. And I don't know if they're using some kind of implement guidance or not, because I've got a picture here where we struggled. Right there. That had nothing to do with horsepower and drag. And with that articulating tractor, with the guidance, it's trying to stay on that line, so if it's making the correction it thinks it needs, it's not working, it's gonna correct some more. Well, the way that thing articulates, I don't know what the word is, but that rig is really doing some S-ing in the ground. You can see that. That's driving me crazy. I'm kind of a nerd perfectionist on this. And
What was happening? Was it too wet there?
no, it was pulling so hard.
Just fight.
Oh, just, yeah, it was.
It just wouldn't go. Now I'll show you what we did to help that. It didn't cure it 100%, but it helped a lot. But we were talking about RT cam repeatability. I mean, you can't hit the sweet spot with a planter when it's doing that. And there's some numbers put on. You know, if you're off the sweet spot, you know, it's bushels per inch. I don't know. It's 10 or 15 bushels on corn. So that was an issue. Let's see. Yeah, and that's how we solved it. Our balance was bad. Again, that articulating tractor, it's making a correction, but since the balance was off, the front wheels, the ground contact wasn't there, so it was having to overcompensate, and then it was getting that squirrely action in the back. So we had to really glue those tires to the ground, and that's, I got that off the internet because I forgot to take a picture of it, but I think it's like 36 weights there. What do they weigh? 120 pounds or something? More than 100. So we put all the maximum weights on it, and that did solve the problem. And I went back to the owner's manual and looked at the balance guide, and believe it or not, it's in there for a reason. It works. I don't know if I've never used it. I
What if
mean,
we took sway blocks off?
um,
Instead of tightening them up, loosen them up, where that rear end could kind of flop, but the hitch wouldn't go.
all right, that's where I think you need to get the implement guidance. Take the sway blocks off so it'll have however much.
But when you running them subsoil shanks, you got one over here that's in tight ground, one over here's in sand. You done hit some of that.
Oh yeah, and then downhill, it's gonna want to slide downhill. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with all that,
But if you pull them sway blocks off, it's gonna do what you're talking about.
but it's gonna go
walk
to
too.
the path of least resistance.
Well, when you pull it hard, it's gonna pull it straight. But if you got them sway blocks on that articulating tractor and it's going like that, when it twists like that to try to get over here, it's bumping that hitch. It ain't like a front wheel assist where you tighten them up. It's gonna be the opposite effect. Because when you pull it, it's gonna pull it straight, but where we're at, we got sand right here, we got zebra fields. You got sand, you got gumbo, and you got that red washed off clay. And when them shanks hit that clay, and you got 20 foot out there from the center of that hitch, it's just like a lever. It's pulling it around.
Yeah. So that didn't completely solve the problem, but that helped a lot. Get that essence out of those strips. And it was just strictly to that tractor trying to compensate. And if I would have tried to hand steer it, it would have done the same thing. It just really gets back to my first slide, horsepower and able to pull that thing. If you want to do it right, or do as many things I'm trying to do. So here's another issue we had. That's no good, is it? Leaving a slot, and he gets back. Two things there. This was getting a little late, so you can see this hen bit is kind of greened up, and some other kind of turfy grass. Maybe just bluegrass. But that root system, when those blades pinched it wasn't releasing. So the answer was probably twofold. A burn down. Again, this was late. You know, we got rained on, and so we're running behind. So we didn't have a burn down, or we'd grown out of it. Or more speed, which gets back to more horsepower. So here we are again. We were back to the horsepower requirements. And so actually what we did, instead of running 12 inches shanks, we actually pulled them up to about 9.5 inches. So we could get more speed out of it. And the tool do its job, and it was fine. But you can't drop a corn seed in that slot and expect them to emerge correctly.
Or if you were bedding behind it, it would be okay.
Yeah, well, I guess if you were bedding, yeah, but we weren't. We were planting right into that. We were. Soybeans, yeah, we were ready to plant. Because we were putting out fertilizer and telling them if we needed. We didn't have time to do anything else. So, what were you gonna do? You say you were in, where did you say you're from, Tennessee?
Missouri.
Missouri. And you're gonna run a 4 rows from strip till style?
But it's gonna be flat planting under pivot.
Planting corn,
No.
beans, cotton, okay. Yeah,
I do corn and beans, but by title, I'm just a cotton specialist.
Okay.
I do corn and beans for the USDA when they need stuff done.
so on a cotton strip, would you do anything special to it, or what are you thinking?
Well, the way I'm doing it's a bit different than what you're doing.
Mhm.
You're putting out your fertilizer and everything. I'm running the strip till with a planter at the same time.
Okay, so you got a planter hooked to your strip till, so
Right.
you're eliminating even one more pass. I don't know if they make one 16 rows.
I don't think they do.
I hate to know what it takes to pull it.
2 tractors?
I mean, I've been mentioning horsepower deal several times. I called around to these guys that own some of these 16 rows, and every one of them, yeah, they don't tell you that. I figured it out. But what's the biggest tractor made now, Johnny? Makes 620. Case, what's Case making? Something close 600. Who's making anything any bigger?
Well, Challenger actually makes, I think it's a 600 horsepower that's doesn't articulate.
Yeah, you know, we had looked at. I was gonna try. I was trading that tractor off. I was gonna go to a 620. We looked at RX. In the RX, a 4-track
Yeah.
tractor. We looked at one of those. We thought it's probably gonna do the same thing. Then I looked at a 2-track, or what do they call those? It's another something. And I thought, well, that might work. Get a 2-track system or 2-track tractor with wide tracks. I think the biggest I make on that's a 570, but you can turn it up. And I'm not a believer in turning it up. And something like this, so I had to do something. But we got concerned about, well, John Deere may quit making the 2-track tractor, and it's expensive anyway. I'm talking about the 900 series. I'm not talking about a 2-track 800 series or 8,000 series. So I like it, but and I'm going to stick with it. But all the issues I've had with it go back to horsepower and how much. And that's for a 16 row, which is biggest one they made. I was doing that for efficiency, but if you go that route, you need a lot of power. There's nothing wrong with it. How are we doing on time? Got plenty, don't we? I think this next slide is done. The corn with planting the corn in the strip is just like conventional. I mean, it just easy to plant. You get good emergence, even emergence in that 24 to 48 hour window. Didn't seem a problem. On cotton, I hadn't planted any cotton, so that's why I asked you what your thoughts were. but you're just gonna do a one pass deal. What's the ground look right now today, look like tonight, today?
It's got old soybean stubble on it where I know till cotton into it this past year, and then it's got just no cotton stalks on it.
The soybean stubble is the easiest to work with.
Is there anything that you've been doing different with your corn stubble since it's a little bit more accumulated?
Again, this is just gonna be my second year, so I've been thinking about that. I think you almost have to scoot over the 15 inches, split the middles on the corn, except where it's bedded, and that will go back into soybeans. So maybe we'll have a little more time, warmer weather, to break down the corn stover and plant right into it.
You running a chopping head corn?
I've got some, I'm still on my 38-inch heads, and they were chopping heads.
Have you worked with any of those residue products that break down?
Yeah.
Have you seen any differences?
Not really. And I've got some friends that shoot me for saying that, but you know, they're basically an organic acid, some sugars to feed the microbes. And you need warm weather.
So
What y'all think about it? What y'all got? Y'all got
it's
some of that?
temperature dependent?
Yeah, because the microbes are eating up
Okay.
the residue.
It's not enzyme based then, so.
Can y'all comment on that?
We do a little bit with microbes, but not that much, but I mean, yeah, I think you're dead on it. I mean, you need the warm weather, you gotta have.
Warm weather,
and
they're
moisture.
using the sugar, some kind of carbohydrate for a food source to give those microbes extra energy, and they're the ones breaking it down.
Yeah.
That's what's actually breaking it down. Brett, you got to,
I'm not had any experience with it.
yeah, I mean, for the last, I don't know, 5 years, maybe a few years longer, there's been products out there that help break it down, but when you get down to it, it's going to be an organic acid to facilitate the habitat for the microbes, along with a sugar source to give them energy, and then you need warm weather coupled with that, above 56 degrees to keep them active, and yeah, your residue will go away. But if it's 30 degrees, they're going to be in some sort of hibernation. And all the earthworms and all, they're going to be deeper. So
You might be able to do it in the fall, right after you.
we're definitely, in central Arkansas, in better shape, and south of there, we're definitely in better shape than, say, the Dakotas. Because,
A couple of little cold spells and your temperatures will stay up. But once they get those temperatures down, it's hard to get those temperatures back up.
yeah.
The soil temperature.
Mike, have you fooled any of that stuff?
Do a lot.
And some of those products will even have additional colonies of microbes encapsulated in there. I don't know. Might work, but usually at harvest, I'm sick of farming, sick of spraying stuff. I'm broke. I wonder what I've done right, what I've done wrong. The last thing I want to do is go out and spend $10 having it applied in hopes that it breaks it down.
I really don't want it sped up. I'm gonna save it.
Well, I think you're getting the value out of it though, but just to getting it out of the way is what.
One of the concerns is that when you have higher biomass or higher yields, and you have the biomass on the field, the return of those nutrients into the soil for your subsequent crop is delayed if it hasn't broken down, like your potassium.
Yeah, I agree. It's still being held in the. It's a penalty.
Yeah, so what do you
You know, nitrogen, they call it carbon penalty, but it's being held in the old residue. So you want it broken down. I guess there's a perfect time. Mike's saying he wants his a little later. Some people selling these products are saying you want it broken down earlier.
When you go up in the Midwest, they got a lot higher organic matter than we do. Because their
They
ground
have
stays frozen, locked
they have
up,
to
and
till
down
it,
here,
warm it up.
it is next to impossible to get high organic matter, and that's what it's all about. And if you can slow it down through no-till or cover crops or something like that, which
So yeah, I mean, that's one of the penalties of having a good crop. You usually have a bunch of residue, especially corn.
I worry more about getting rid of rice residue than I do corn residue.
Of course, doing that, you need to roll in the fall.
Roll it in mud, it'll sit there, and when spring comes, poof, it'll be gone.
That's right. The soil warms up, the microbes go to work, cause it to break down. But yeah, the more contact you can get with the soil, the better off.
When you run them middles and run that chopper better through that, it'll make it look like that in the fall. And that'll speed it up a little bit and make it where you can plant into it. But with a grain drill, I just soon plant it with the standing from last year. Ain't bothering me.
So you asked about chopping head? Yeah, I've run chopping heads before, and they're great. There's some issues that come along with them. You got one? You run them?
I put the 360s on mine.
Okay. The brushes?
What's not the three?
Rollers.
Yeah, what do they call the rollers that 360 come out with?
I don't know. I follow them a little bit, but
It, breaks it up a lot, all the way. The way
so
the rollers
part
are.
of the problem with chopping heads, it does size the residue. You get big rain, plus it's just knee-deep piles of.
What I like these rollers for, because it chops it about 4 to 6 inches, but it breaks the stalk up in between those.
Kind of shreds it open.
Yeah.
As far as issues with the combine I had, your corn should have a green stalk on it when you harvest it. So the moisture that's being released in the air has that sugar in it, and it sticks to your radiators, all the dust. So you got to get aftermarket brushes to keep those radiators clean. I've been there and done it. I mean, that is the solution there. And then with chopping heads, all that residue, we end up hanging curtains behind the head to keep all that stuff from going everywhere. And there's a horsepower drag. I've got Capella heads, and we had to put some kind of device on it to trick the John Deere combine to thinking it was a John Deere chopping head, so it would give that extra 10% horsepower boost to run that. If it's a John Deere head on a John Deere combine, John Deere chopping head on a John Deere combine, when you plug it into your single point, it knows, so it automatically, that 10% boost kicks in. But
I got two of them 612Cs, and one of them has the rollers that are like this, and one that's got the rollers that are like this, and they're sharp, just almost touch.
which one do you like?
I think the one that almost touches probably does better than what y'all want. It hits that stalk and crimps it,
Just
Breaks it open.
kind of breaks it, chews it a little bit more.
That's why I went with those rollers, so you're not
And
losing
it
horsepower.
don't seem to take much horsepower.
You probably wouldn't take more, but a chopping head, you got the lawnmower blades and the extra gearbox. I mean, that's a substantial horsepower.
Right.
Well, I have hard enough time keeping those variable speed belts and gearboxes in shape.
Yeah. So, anyway, what else? Talked about fertilizer. I talked about how much horsepower those things require. Talked about corn heads. You talk about the price of corn, soybeans, getting the trade war over.
And where are you from?
Augusta, Arkansas.
So we're
About
around-
15 miles north of Mike. He's a cotton plant.
Yeah.
We're DeWitt Stuttgart area.
Okay, so I'm an hour north of y'all.
We don't. That's why I came in there. I don't know anything about.
I didn't either, but I got a lot of contacts in the Midwest, and they just swear by it. As soon as you get central Missouri north, that's all you see. Fields prepped in the fall for spring planting.
So do you put dry or liquid out? Or is that all you, how do you?
That's on, well, that's
Like
not
32?
pre-plant fertilizer. No, anything I do it however it takes. I've got some airplanes, we'll fly it on, water it in. We got plenty of time, we can inject it. I can run some through pivots. That's probably the best way to do it. I'm just not set up to do the whole farm like that, so.
Yeah, I'm like you, it's the time on dry. If it's no rain or whatever and have to water it in, and we're trying, going 5 different other directions. So we're using the Y drops.
Yeah,
We do that.
I've been thinking about that. Something I didn't talk about, the way that subsoil shatters that, Orthman, all of them claim that's actually helping your water capacity. If you've just got a little bit, if you just get a 3 or 4 tenths rain, it's all going to go to that root zone. I hadn't experienced that. I don't know, but it makes sense.
It's like be real good for cotton and soybeans.
Yeah,
Tender.
yeah,
We're 1630, but we're running 60-inch beds.
yeah.
You know, 'cause we're fairly flat. Just
Is it wicking all the way to the middles?
not to the center, you know, but
It's getting close enough. Each plant's getting a little bit.
well, we've made better yields because these flat spots when it rains and the 60-inch beds are not saturated as like they are on 30s. So I showed them bump.
Yeah, so it's not potentially drowning
So
out.
it's-
Well, that's all I had. I think it's quitting time, actually.
And that's why we went to Y drop, not having, because if you put dry out there, you do need it to soak between the beds.
Yeah. And I'm considering Y drops this year. Just because, y'all just doing it one time?
We don't go with tassel shot.
Do I?
We don't use a tassel shot.
So but you're just side dressing one time with the Y drops. How much will you put out?
We're putting out 50 gallons.
So 175 units, something like that. What's your CEC?
Not sure.
Is that rice oil?
Well, I haven't been planting any rice in the last 5 years. I'm corn and soybeans now.
We're kind of nervous at that high rate at one time.
That's where I was going with this, and I wasn't going to call you out on it, but 10 extra CEC is about as high as they say go. So if you're putting out 175 units, your CEC needs to be 100 or 17 and a half. Because Mike says his CEC's 6 to 7. I'm thinking mine's closer to 5. So I typically only put about 50 units of nitrogen out at a time. I mean, I've got to do it 4 times. If I go to wide drops, I probably wouldn't disregard that rule completely, but I at least want to make 2 shots.
Some of that ground, you got some sand. You
Yeah.
dig in, it's sand. Some I got, you dig into it about that deep and you get a red clay.
Yeah.
We're all same soil type, silt loam.
Well, it's sand with red clay down in it, because when you take a dirt pan and cut the knobs off, and then you try to bed up, you got to bed it early, because you're gonna throw a bunch of clods and you gotta
Yeah,
get it to rain.
red clay clods.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. That's the only reason I asked that is one trying to put you on the spot.
Oh,
But I mean,
that's what I'm here for.
I've got again in the flying business. I have some guys want to put out 350, 400 pounds of urea on corn as soon as it comes up, and we don't like doing that as through an airplane because it takes forever. It's not helping him. If he's putting out, what would that be? 4?
But they act like they're getting away with it.
They do, but
You said you put out 50, 50, 50, 50.
or some combination. I'm not going to talk about sulfur, Dave. I use a lot of sulfur. Go ahead.
So, what time do you usually apply it? Is it pretty spaced out evenly, or do you kind of want to anticipate?
Well,
the
you
curve?
mentioned tassel shot. I'll try to make it coincide the last 50-pound application with the tassels, when the tassel shot should be applied.
So that tassel was the last one?
That's the last one, so you can back up 2.5, 3 weeks, and that should put you around a V3 corn stalk or corn plant. Because there's some availability issues and how long it takes for it to become available.
And you said you have CC around 5.
Yeah. We got some as low as 3. High for me might be 8 on 1 or 2 fields, and I have a couple fields that I say the river bottoms, it might be closer to 20, but not much. Don't want it.
He's the first one that can start flying.
What David Hill says is he's 3 days from the drought at any time. That's the way I feel. Thank y'all. Y'all need to sign that sheet.